Hello, and welcome to the Cheap Seats. This is our FPL show. If you knew what was going on in the background, in backstage, watching AB come in, come on, move up, move on. But he's back again. And yeah, so this is our FPL show on Cheap Seats. Remember, do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's our weekly FPL show that we cover, so please do subscribe. You'll get notification. We'll try to keep this as short and sweet to give you an indication of what to look for when you're putting in those transfers. It is transfer deadline is Friday night because there is a Newcastle game on Friday night, which goes like, okay, Newcastle, that's fine. We'll live with that. So what we normally do, transfers in, transfers out, differentials, and also captaincy picks. AB, how was your week in FPL? I'm sure Ronaldo gave you a nice little boost there.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, I have Ronaldo, Lukaku, Salah, very great, and yeah, happy. Good week. Captain Ronaldo. It likely didn't matter if you captained Ronaldo or Lukaku. It was the same sort of points. It was decent. This next week is tough, though. Next week's tough. But
yes,
yeah, all good.
With Spurs playing Chelsea, United playing West Ham without Antonio. Dean, I captained your captain Harry Kane. It didn't work out well for me. Look, it's Crystal Palace, guys. Like Crystal Palace haven't won. Like they played like 9 North London derbies that they didn't win, and somehow 1 out of 10 happened on
Sunday.
Our
record before the game was like 8 wins, 10 draws, or 2 draws in the last 10.
Yeah, so I was like differential captain Harry Kane, and somehow
you failed to take into account one thing, Paul, and that's that it's Spurs. So sorry for you.
Look, quite frankly, it's the 2 teams in London that are not run as well as all the other teams. So it's like a dumpster fire versus a dumpster fire. And somehow Patrick Vieira, whose managerial career hasn't been the best, pulls out one of the best victories for an Arsenal fan to enjoy. It's ridiculous. But anyway, thanks to Jaffa Tanganga. I think you had him in your team, Dean?
I took him out. Thank goodness.
But you still had a red card, man.
I still had the red card. So my wildcard team changed about 7 times from Friday evening to Saturday morning with the Sun news, and then Rafinha out, Rafinha in. So my team looked completely different. Very grateful I didn't captain Antonio, because that would have been a whole -2 points if you did captain Antonio. But the next couple of weeks are going to be interesting now, especially with Antonio's record. Calvert-Lewin, who was training on Friday, but then all of a sudden he's broken his little pinky toe or whatever he's done and can't play. So those forwards are now looking a bit slim going forward. So wild carding, but then still having to make adjustments to your team. It's going to be a crazy couple of weeks. And then the game week 7, all the fixtures swing in Chelsea's favor, so you have to start preparing for that. So interesting times.
Yes. So I'll go through our weekly choices, and then we'll cover that. That Antonio red card was just wild. Last minute, and
no need. Yeah. No need.
Oh, look, it creates a lot of problems, but this is a one FPL season where you've got so many options. So here I go. So this was my team. I brought in Cristiano because I was going with Kane and Lukaku for the next 3 game weeks, but I realized that Spurs are so bad that Harry Kane might not even get a goal. And I'm losing value in having him in there. I got him at 12.4. He's now, when I sold him, he was at 12.2. And then obviously I brought CR7 in because I had money. I also, in the other transfer, I actually brought in Trent because I think Reece James got the red card 2 games ago, and then I brought in Cresswell, and then I was like, actually, I've got some cash. Let me go for Trent again. I'm captaining Mo Salah. He's playing Crystal Palace. It's not going to be a dumpster fire like Spurs last week. The differential for me is interesting because Arsenal have 7 game weeks where it's either opposition is a 2 or a 3 on FPL, which then gives you the opportunity to say, Mikel, get me 20 points. Well, including the 3 points from last week. Spurs is the one game that we're not going to get points in. I'm okay with that. But I'd be disappointed if we didn't. And so Arsenal are going to start going a roll. The person who's created the most chances, I think Pepe created 6 chances yesterday or on Saturday. And I think Trent created one more in a game. So that's the most. So I was like, look, if you are looking for an Arsenal asset, he's the guy at 7.1. I think he started at 7.5. He's now at 7.1. So very, very good value for a guy who didn't know he was assisting Aubameyang, but somehow he got the assist points over the weekend. I'm not too sure about Odegaard yet, so just hold on to that. And also Alba's at 9.9, so that's another differential up front if you don't want to go Ronaldo Lukaku, Ronaldo Kane, or you want to go one of those guys in like 2 mid-priced strikers. AB, we're going to go with you next.
Yeah, so I mean, look, guys, like I'm struggling FPL-wise in terms of my defenders because I put all my money in midfield and forward. So I've got terrible defenders. So I took Eric Dyer out because he's injured or red card or I don't know. It was just yellow. So I was like, cool, he's a Spurs player. I'm taking him out. I'm getting Marcel in because the man is assisting like crazy. And he's also cheap. I think he's like 4.5. And Wolves actually aren't doing that badly. They've got favorable fixtures. And then main man Brandon Williams at 4 mil. Norwich have very good fixtures ahead. There's a couple of greens, there's a couple of yellows. They're okay. But Brandon Williams, most importantly, is playing for me. So 2 points I'm happy with that. He got 2 points, I think, against Arsenal. It was nearly 6 until that goal came. And then I think I'm backing Ronaldo over Salah this week purely because Palace have this. They're buoyed by beating that silly team from North London, whereas I think West Ham are a little bit taken aback by Antonio's red card. So I think United need to capitalize and make a statement at the Olympic Stadium and be like, this midweek slip up against Young Boys was just a one-off, and we're back here to dominate at the top of the Premier League where we belong and where we currently are. Long may it rain.
Revenge season already. Game week 5. I like the Brandon Williams pick. I watched that. I didn't watch Ronaldo. I watched that Arsenal game, and I really loved him at left back for those guys. He literally had a goal line clearance, like it was ridiculous. Pepe, like point blank, took a shot straight into Brandon Williams. Says a lot about Arsenal shooting, but Brandon Williams is there to save his team. I like the Marcel pick. I really, really do as a 4.5. Dean, you've had him in your side. You went
brilliant.
Yeah. So I went Antonio out because red card. Very easy. Bamford in, also Leeds fixtures over the next 3, 4, 5 I think are really good. So it's time if you don't have some Leeds assets, and now like I said the forwards are a little bit scarce. I think Bamford's probably the one to fill the hole, although there is a case of instead of taking Antonio out, you rather take DCL out and put in Bamford just because you don't know how long DCL is going to be out now. But yeah, I think from the forward side, that's kind of the move to make. Then differential, Marcel was my differential last week, came up with 2 assists. He's still only got, I think, 4.5 or 5% ownership. I checked the other day on FPL. So he's basically the left-hand side version of Semedo in that Wolves team. So if you're looking at Semedo, I think Semedo is 4.9. Marcel's 4.5. I think he's gone up to maybe 4.6, or I don't know exactly now. But he's doing the exact same job. Wolves' fixtures are great over the next 4 or 5. And like I said, I watched him against Spurs and I watched him against United, and he was doing great things. And that's why I put him in last week. And he came up with, I think it was 11 points last week for me in FPL. So great call there. And then, Captain Salah, I think, again, every time Liverpool are playing at Anfield, you kind of have to start backing, you kind of have to look at Liverpool in a little bit different light, because I do think they'll then start pushing forward a lot more, and they do get some good support there from the Klopp. And I think for me, I get AB's points because for me it was between Ronaldo and Salah. I think Ronaldo, you could probably put the armband on him for the rest of the season and you'd probably be good because of it's Ronaldo. But I do think there are some other sneaky some sneaky captains picks out there as well. Like Bamford against Newcastle's also, that Newcastle defense isn't very good. Or even a Rafinha. I think Rafinha's had the most shots in the lead side, or some crazy statistic in that lead side. So he's definitely, they're just not converting them, unfortunately, but he has to start sometime. So I think we're going to start looking at Wolves have got good fixtures, Leeds have got good fixtures, and Norwich has got good fixtures. So maybe
Everton have
Pookie,
good fixtures,
Everton also, yeah. So Damari Gray is making big strides in this game now.
Yes. So speaking about, obviously you spoke about some differential captains and stuff like that, but a differential team in this league. Last year it was Leeds. You could pick anybody from Leeds and they gave you some things and everybody jumped on the bandwagon and it didn't work out. Everton have up until, I'm looking right here, Everton have up until, I think, the 20th of November. In that stretch, they play Villa, Norwich United, which is a big one, that's fine. West Ham, Watford, Wolves. They play Spurs, which is a 3 on FPL. And then they play Man City in game week 12. And you've got Doucouré, who's seemingly found that Watford form. You've got Demarai Gray, who's a very good pick. You've got Andros Townsend, who's a really, really awesome pick, all at 5.5. Is it a case of just have somebody in there from West Ham or from Everton? Or is it a case of, no, maybe go for a Townsend and a Gray because they get into the higher parts of the field? Even though Doucouré's gotten a lot of assists, I think he's an assist leader in the side. How do you guys characterize Everton? Is Richarlison now back in the game as well? Maybe.
So Richarlison is a forward, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Which is very difficult because if there are two forwards to have, it's Lukaku and Ronaldo. Maybe not Rom this next week because it's Spurs, and obviously Dean will say that Spurs are
going to literally annihilate us. So get Rom in your team if you want.
But the thing is, you can't afford to have, because then you're going to have a defense like me where you're worried about Oaks not playing. So I don't know if Richarlison is the right guy, because you have to have Ronaldo, you have to have Rom, and then maybe go for one of the 5.5. So go for Doucouré, go for Gray, go for Townsend, but don't spend too much money on the Everton striker because they're not necessarily scoring. Richarlison hasn't really scored. That's me.
I think
yes,
from that Everton side, I put DCL in from my wildcard team because it's DCL. You think, okay, cool, he's going to score. And when I wildcarded, I went 3-4-3 because there's so much value in those forwards, at those 7.5-8 million forwards. And now that they're injured, I do think then you have to start looking at maybe shifting your formation from a 3-4-3 to a 3-5-2 and having one of those cheaper Everton players. And I think if you have a look at the guys that are performing for Everton, Andros Townsend, he was a waste at Palace. They kind of just threw him away. Damari Gray was a bench warmer at Leicester. So I do think some of these guys are kind of saying, well, I have something to prove now in this league. I want to show you that you shouldn't have just thrown me away, Leicester. You shouldn't have just thrown me away, Crystal Palace. I could have done something for you, and I'm going to do it now at Everton. So I think from a Townsend perspective, I don't think he's long-term. I think he has the ability to bag a worldie, but I do think Damari Gray is an interesting pick. And Doucouré, he was great at Watford in that first season, I think it was, when they came up 2-3 seasons ago. And like you say, Paul, he's finding that form again. So I think there is some benefit to be found in that Everton side. I don't think it's in their defense. Just because, I don't, from a Benitez side, I don't think the defense is what you
that
look
Everton
for.
defense is still not good enough. It's not even, I don't think it's top 8 quality. I'm a fan of Digne on the left, but Seamus Coleman's a little bit old now. And then whoever the backs are.
Yerry Meany and Michael Keane are just, they're not guys that you put a lot of confidence in. So I think Everton's got a good shot in FPL, but I don't think for the short term. If you're looking short term, I think you can look elsewhere.
Yeah, speaking about short-term assets, Jamie Vardy as a captaincy shout this weekend if you don't have the big hitters. Leicester have also some really nice games. They've only got one fixture of a 4, which is Manchester United in their next 7. What's going on at Leicester? Is there value to be found there, or is it just like, look, dude, it's either Ronaldo, and your midfielders aren't cutting it?
I have nothing to say. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with Leicester, guys.
I've said it before. That Leicester team have got the same tools at their disposal. They're just not making it work at the moment, and you don't have a reason at the moment. I think that game against West Ham rocked them a little bit more than we maybe give them credit for, because they beat Wolves on the opening day. Okay, cool, it's Wolves, whatever, and then to go lose 4-1 at West Ham and then get that red card. They beat Norwich the following week, but I mean, it's Norwich. City beating them, and they just my bigger concern for Leicester is they're not playing the way you expect Leicester to play, and I think that's the problem. And I don't know if it's maybe a case of, like we saw at the back end of last season, Rodgers mixed it up with playing Vardy and Iheanacho up front. So I don't know if it's maybe taking a bit of a risk and doing something like that again, and pairing him up with even the Patson Duck or whoever, just put something different on the pitch and see what happens. So
I'm also a little concerned about Leicester playing Europa League. Europa League is not easy to play because you've got that Thursday and then you've got that Sunday. It's very difficult to prep, and we don't really, this Leicester team, we don't really know how much they can handle fitness-wise.
Look, if City can struggle, they're going to struggle. And the one last differential I want to ask you, Dean, about is Conor Gallagher. You got an up-close and personal view of
that kid is class.
He's at 5.6 in FPL, owned by 4.6% of the players. Yes, they're playing Liverpool this weekend, but maybe look to get him in afterwards. I like him. I like him as a 5.6 option. He goes up, he scores.
Look, he ran rampant at Spurs, and I think a lot of it has to do with Spurs' midfield was just non-existent. We had 0 shots in that first half. So 100% Conor Gallagher is great, and I think Palace literally just knew where to beat us up, and they beat us up in the middle of the pitch. I don't think it'll be that easy against the rest of the Premier League. Definitely not against Liverpool this weekend. And then they've got Brighton and then Leicester after that. So I think from a Palace perspective, it's definitely one to watch if you're looking at that. But at that 5.6 range, then it brings in a Damari Gray, and you then kind of think, well, based on form, do you then lean towards a tried and tested? Even that sounds weird saying with Damari Gray. But I think if you're looking at a Crystal Palace asset and it is hot and cold, I think Zaha did things against Spurs, and he's very hot and cold. But
you know who I'd pick from Crystal Palace? It's that Odson Edward guy. The only problem is that
he just doesn't. You don't know if he's going to start.
You don't know if he's going to start. Yes, and the way they play, he looks like he's the backup to Benteke, and I'm like, dude, you've got Jordan Ayew on the field.
People were saying he's the second coming of, and against Spurs he scored 2 goals. He scored within 23 seconds of coming on. Great. I could have scored the goal he scored. Like it wasn't like he's this grand champion, comes out of nowhere, runs through the pitch and then scores. It's a little pivot turn and score. At that point, Spurs were dead. So I don't think he's like 2 goals in 10 minutes or whatever it was. Great. I'm happy for you. Well, I wasn't happy for you at the time. I wanted to rip your head off. But if he does start starting, I think he's an option. But until then, I wouldn't touch him because, the Benteke shouldn't be on the pitch. He should definitely start, but I don't think he's an option until he starts starting. And even then, you then also in that price range, Armstrong kind of category at Southampton, who
who's playing
scorer.
Man City this weekend, so he's not going to score any goals. So
No.
I'm actually thinking of moving him out because
Well, it depends because Pep said his players are going to be tired, and you know he's actually invited us to go and watch the game. So you know there's seats for us if we go. So
or actually, I'm going to keep him in. That Man City post Champions League drop could help. Yeah, so that's a good thing. Southampton assets. Go Livramento. How do you not have Livramento in your side, AB? That's my question. If you're looking for guys,
I have him.
Then why are you worried the guy's not playing?
Because
who is your defense, AB? Tell us your defense actually. Let me guess. Williams, Livramento.
Yeah.
Do you have Duffy?
Yes, obviously he's cheap.
So now Marcel as well?
Yeah.
Luke Ayling.
Yeah, there we go. Well done. Not even wrong, guys. Well done.
The 4.5s. Literally. AB in the land of the 4.5.
I don't know how you don't have Trent, AB.
He's 7.5. I don't have money for
what
Trent.
he's done. He does better than a 7.5 midfielder in that game.
Guys, Trent is a keeper for me. Like, he has to sit.
He's literally in my team. He's not moving.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sign Trent, and he's going to be terrible. And then you're all going to hate me.
That's why I signed Ronaldo, so he can be terrible for everybody.
Yeah,
I signed Kane. He was terrible, but nobody owned him. So now,
but I mean, Kane hasn't trained for months. I don't know. No one knows what's going on with Harry Kane.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for your predictions and your insight in there. I hope you have enough. To our viewers, they have enough to chew on. So till next week, guys, enjoy the game week. Remember, it's Friday night. I think it's 7 p.m. South African time. So please get your picks in. You were warned. Outside of that, have a good even weekend. Enjoy the football and le sale.